Hello family, this is Deborah with Black Education TV. I'm going to be doing another business segment here on the channel to kind of cut in between some of the other things that I talk about on a daily basis. And the reason being is because we are definitely living in some trying times, some strange times. But in all of this, sometimes things are missed, other important things that we need to focus on and deal with. Now, there's always talk about supporting black businesses and us supporting each other and all of the problems and woes that come with that type of narrative. But one part that I believe is missed, in which we're going to cover that in this business series. I don't know how long the series is going to go. We'll try to wrap it up as quickly as we can within a few episodes, but I definitely want to cover the main things that we need to focus on as a people in this series, okay, in these particular segments. Now, the first thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that charity begins at home, then it spreads abroad. Now, one element that I believe is missing is, you know, the scripture talks about how it's more blessed to give than it is to receive. So that means we are to help one another. We are to tend to the needs of one another as best as we can. Now, we know that we're living in different times than our ancestors did thousands of years ago, and so there are other elements that we're dealing with, such as people defrauding one another and taking advantage of one another, and even using the scripture to justify it. You have those who say, well, the Bible says that you are to bless those that hate you and do good to those that despitefully use you. And so a person who wants to use you will use that scripture to justify doing so. But let me get into this really quick so that nothing is missed here. The part that I want to talk about is the daughters of Zion. Now, my daughters and myself, we sat down. There's a project that we've been working on for quite some time now. But there is an element of it that we wanted to dealing with the daughters of Zion and how to help the daughters of Zion. So we came up with a name for it. It's called 12 Dozen. And what 12 Dozen stands for is, it stands for, of course, the 12 tribes of Israel. Then it stands for Daughters of Zion Essential Needs. Okay. Now, Daughters of Zion Essential Needs, that's what the 12 Dozen stands for. Because the Daughters of Zion, many of them may be single mothers, have children, and things of that nature. And sometimes it may be a little tough for them to meet their needs, meet the needs of their family, their household, their children. And this is where I believe we all come in. We sometimes get afraid to reach out and help one another for a number of different reasons. And so in this series, I just want to be straightforward with you all and everything that I want to talk about in terms of helping the daughters of Zion. Not just helping the daughters of Zion, but also our brothers. There are brothers that are in need too and could use a hand. And so these are the things that I believe we should focus on as well. Because we are all in the land of our captivity. Some have more than others, and some are struggling, and some are just, not just struggling, but some are just flat out lazy. So I'm going to talk about all of the family in this particular series, because we try to lump everybody into the same category when we are talking about certain things. Meaning not every single mother is a bad mother. There are single mothers who are virtuous women. You see, you can't look at the young woman that is just ripping and running the streets all the time, leaving her kids by themselves, and they're getting into all kinds of things, and just put every single mother in that category. Likewise, every married woman is not the same. You have some married women who are not virtuous women and who are not keepers at home. This is why the scripture says, a wise woman buildeth her house, but a foolish woman plucketh it down with her hands. Meaning you can be the woman of your household, but just tearing it down piece by piece, not tending to the needs of your family, not tending to the needs of your husband, your children, and just overall things that need to be done and tended to within your household. And there are generalizations out there as far as our brothers are as well. Not every brother is lazy. There are some hard-working brothers out here who love their wives, love their children, and handle their business. But you have those who don't handle their business, don't love their wives, don't even have a wife, don't take care of their children, don't take care of their household, and are wreaking havoc in the neighborhood. And you can't lump every brother into that category. And so what I want to do is separate things, because all of these generalizations sometimes hurt us, you see. You see how those that have ruled over us for so long, they tend to lump every black person into the same category. Some of them, some of them, they do their separations as well. They don't liken the thug to the college graduate. But then there are some who don't care what you are. You can be a billionaire like Oprah, in which I've shared this example before, where Oprah being a billionaire, there was a white guy working at a cheap dive motel somewhere, called her fat black bitch, and because in his mind he's better than she is. Family, I know some of you don't like me talking like this or whatever. I like to keep it real, okay? I can sit here and I can sound like Becky if I wanted to. I can do that. But I'm talking to my people right now because there is a very important mission that I think we all need to embark on. Getting back to 12 dozen. Again, what does 12 dozen stand for? It stands for the 12 tribes of Israel, daughters of Zion, essential needs. Now, let me tell you what made me think of this, okay? And I've talked to several people about this whole idea. So many questions came up as well as we were talking about this. And one thing we all know is that there are daughters of Zion that have needs. And we're not always able to help them with their needs or with all of their needs, okay? That being said, what can we do? Okay, we do know that there are those who just want to take advantage of people. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to come up with a way to where that doesn't happen, because we've had that happen to us many times. And, with the Christian mindset, you feel like you have to do these things. I do believe that there are some misteachings in the Word, because some things just don't line up with Torah. Some things just don't line up. I definitely believe that we should love each other enough to help one another. And this is why we thought of the 12 dozen for the daughters of Zion essential needs. Now, one thing that kind of led me to this is from time to time, I will go on Facebook Marketplace and I look for things that we may need, because I don't like to spend retail for anything if I can help it, you see. Like this floral arrangement right here. This is an excellent example. Something like this, I've priced these out before. They cost hundreds of dollars for something that looks this nice. I spent $10 for this on Facebook Marketplace. And so with me looking for certain things, I bought it specifically for this trailer because there are some things that my daughters and I are working on, and we're going to be using this trailer as our workspace, okay? We actually filmed the remodeling of this trailer where we painted and we tore out some things that we didn't need, and we brought in other things that we did need. But we're going to be using this as our workspace for specific things that we are going to do for our family and for our business. But as I looked around on Facebook Marketplace, you can also see in the feed where because the only thing we have on this particular Facebook, not my regular Facebook, but on our one of our other Facebook pages, where we don't really have anything connected to it other than Facebook Marketplace and certain classifieds for our area. And so our feed is packed with different things that people are selling and different things that people need. And so I noticed some things. I noticed that there would be ads from time to time or a post from time to time where someone would say, I'm a single mother and I have 3 little children and we need some clothes. They say, I don't have any money or very little money, but if anyone have any clothes that they would like to give away, my children are this age, and this age, right? And I said, wow. But the thing that got me the most was the fact that I looked underneath the post and there were a lot of responses. People saying, sure, I have some clothes. I have some coats, some shoes, some socks. And I said, wow, this is really interesting. Another post that I noted was, there was a person who had an elderly mother, and it's been really hot this year. So, and early on, I might add, but someone put up a post where they said, my mom and we live in a trailer. It's really hot in here. She's ill. My mom is ill, and she can't deal with all of this heat. And so they were like, if anyone has an air conditioner that you can give us, that would be wonderful. And again, I saw a number of people responding. They were saying, if you can get over here to this address, I have one for you. Or if you don't live too far from this place, then I can bring it to you. Just a number of people responding. And guess what? They were all Gentiles, white people. And so I said, man, imagine if we had our own network where we can do this for our own people as well. Now, I'm just talking about, this is why we call it essential needs, you see. Just imagine if you had produce, extra produce, and you just simply said, look, I have some extra produce. I would love to give it to someone, and if you can use it, we can meet here, or if you feel comfortable having someone come to your home, you can do that. If you have extra clothes, one sister that I talked to, she said she has some business clothes that she can't fit anymore, and she's more than willing to ship them to a daughter of Zion who may be looking for a job or has a job but just needs some extra clothes. There are others who have toys for children or school supplies. Again, I talked to a very wise sister. We talked about this in length, and we talked about all of the questions and the concerns that could come up trying to do something like this. Now, let me just say this, family. I want to keep this in simplest terms right now, in the simplest form, because I know that people have needs, but I also know, and these are some of the things that I've discussed with this very wise sister, that there are people who will post exuberant requests, and they would expect you to fulfill those requests and get mad at you if you don't. You see, sometimes sticking your neck out to help people can draw the wrong attention. We realize that. And so we want to put that out front right now, that this is not what this is about. We are talking about essential needs, because I don't know anybody that's rich within my circle, okay? I do know rich business people that are Gentiles, you know, that I know personally, but as far as my circle, my family, or people in my community, I don't know anyone that's rich. And so sometimes, this is where it comes in, where we are not looking for anyone who wants to take advantage of anyone because of kindness, but just being reasonable and understanding that we want to develop a network where we can help each other. You see, that's what this is all about. There was a sister who shared a story with us at one of our events, and it just kind of bothered me. But we were talking about these things. These were some of the things that we were talking about at the event. And one sister, bless her beautiful heart, she's going to recognize the story when she sees this. I'm not going to share your name, sister, but she was talking about something that she wanted to do to help single moms and their children. And so she put it into action. I can't remember if men were included in that too. All I know is that she wanted to help our people. And so at the time, they were appealing to Gentile churches to help implement the program that she wanted to do. And she basically wanted to provide nice clothing for children and families. And a lot of people responded to that. Now, they were nice clothes, they were name brands, but they were used. Now, for a while, it worked just fine. But then these people that they were helping for such a long time, some of them came forward and said, why do y'all always get us used clothes? Why can't y'all get us some new clothes? There's an old saying that beggars can't be choosy. Okay, and I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, but the sister was really ticked off at that. And just hearing her tell the story, I was too, you see. Because if you are in need of clothes and someone is giving you some very quality used clothes, and when she said some of them were new, they still had tags on them, never worn, but they would be classified as used because they didn't come from a store. So these people are essentially saying, look, I need you to hook me up with some clothes that are new or newer, and this particular kind, you see. And so the sister said, you know what, she just let the program phase on out and just said, forget it. Now, I'm going to share a couple of other stories as well. Another really good friend of mine, won't share your name, she said that there was a couple at their church. At the time, they were still in church, but there was a couple at their church who needed a vehicle. I guess their vehicle had broken down. They had a family with children, husband and wife. And so they said they had an extra vehicle that was just sitting that they hardly ever used, but it was working fine. It looked good. Everything worked as it should. And so they did some things. I think they changed the oil and just did everything that needed to be done so that they can hand this perfectly good working vehicle over to this family. They didn't sell it to them. They didn't make no type of deals with them. They simply gave it to them. And they said after a short time, they started noticing the family climbing in and out of the windows instead of using the door. They were just kind of using the windows to just get the door open and all this kind of stuff. And they were like, what are they doing that for? And they started noticing the car was just looking more and more rough. I don't know how much time went by to where this started happening. Long story short, she said that the family started complaining to them, talking about, why would you give somebody a vehicle, got all these problems and stuff? If you're going to give somebody something, make sure that it's working, this, that, and the other. And they were like, the car was working. This was our car. We gave it to you in perfectly good working condition, you see. And even, I believe she said, even the pastor's wife started putting them down for giving them a vehicle that they said wasn't working the way it should. And so this family was like, are you kidding me? So I give you a vehicle, you run it in the ground, and instead of being thankful for the fact that we just gave it to you, all we get is complaints. Last story. Sister had a niece or a cousin or a relative that was having a baby, and so they went and bought a whole bunch of baby clothes for the baby. But none of them were name brand. They were just baby clothes, you know, regular things that you would get for an infant. And this relative of theirs said, why y'all get my baby all of this cheap stuff? How come y'all didn't get her some name brand clothes? And I'm like, what? And so these are the experiences that we have dealing with each other, which makes others even question or back away from wanting to help or do anything. But that is not the case with everyone, family. This is why we sat down, my daughters and I, and we were pondering over what to do. We knew we wanted to do something dealing specifically with the daughters of Zion and their children, but not really knowing what to call it and how to do this. And again, we used the examples of Facebook, how there were needs for specific things and those needs were met. The air conditioner scenario we shared, the clothes scenario. And so when we say essential needs, we know that there are those who have needs above what we can deal with. We already know that. But even in those cases, it would be beautiful. It would be a beautiful thing if we as a people could collectively come up with ways to solve those things. But the problem is we are so divided. Another thing that made us want to do this was we, a few years ago, over the years, should I say, I've been putting up a number of different videos about EBT and about Section 8 and things of that nature. And I would look at the responses that we would get from our people. Like when they were saying that a lot of people are going to lose their Section 8, I would see a lot of brothers respond in such a horrible way, as if they were glad or celebrating that our sisters are going to lose their benefits. And it makes you just want to holler and throw up both your hands, family. That we are so hateful towards one another to where we can't look and see that it's not just this woman that you hate involved, but the children too. If she loses Section 8, they lose it too. If this woman is hungry, her children are hungry too. And so we're dealing with so many different things here, but the needs are still there. And so I feel like collectively we should be able to deal with our own needs, but we are in the land of our captivity, and we are not all on the same page. Not all of us feel the same things for each other that someone else may feel. Some of our people can care less what happens in the life of another so-called black person. You know, some of our people have been frightened away from those who are users and abusers. Some have that heart to where they want to do things, but you have those, such as some of the examples I shared, that just want to take advantage of people and use people. We've known people who have allowed people to move into their house, and I mean, it just went from bad to worse, you know. So we do have to be careful. I wanted to really stress that, but not losing the original plan or goal of being able to help those that truly have needs, okay? And we don't want to do it just in giving, okay? We want to actually encourage our sisters and our brothers to help themselves as well, okay? And I'm going to share some examples of that. Before I share those examples, one thing that I know that I could do, there have been people around here in our community that ask if we have any extra produce or tomatoes or cucumbers or whatever. Those are things that I don't mind doing. We've had neighbors who have asked us for some of our eggs, our chicken eggs. There was one lady, she would come by every 2 weeks to get some eggs, and we were happy to give them to her because we had so many. So we don't have a problem with that. We've given some of our vegetables away. We even had one family. It was just a lady. She said, "I ain't had no fresh chicken in a long time. Could I have one of those chickens?" And we said, "Sure." At the time, I think we had over 40 chickens. And we said, "Sure." You know, she wanted to get it, cut the head off and take the feathers off and just fry it on up. And so we said, "Sure, go right ahead," you know. But those are the things that we want to do. Also, those of you who may have a job, but it's not paying everything that you could use, okay? Some of your jobs may not be paying all of the bills, okay? That's the best way to say it. One thing that we thought about as a way to help those who may not live in our community, because basically this is something about giving of your overflow to those who may be in your community, or anything that you're willing to ship to someone, like clothes can be easily shipped. But another thing that we thought about are gift cards or gas cards. So it doesn't matter where the person is. If some daughters of Zion have a vehicle and they need to get back and forth to work, I do believe that sending gift cards or gas cards would be a way to tend to some of those needs. Of course, you can only do what you can do. So you might only be able to give one gas card a month. You might only be able to give one a year because you may be a person who is in need yourself. I mean, what we're saying is every little bit helps. To the person who is on the receiving end of that, I'm pretty sure, or at least I hope, that they would be grateful that you took the time to give of your overflow, you see, because it is more blessed to give than to receive. But no one wants to be taken advantage of. No one wants to be used and abused, okay? What we were thinking is that we have a platform in which we can post what we have to give and someone can respond to it. And if you are willing to ship whatever it is you have, for instance, clothes, like I said, school supplies, whenever the school year rolls in, for us, school has already started. For others, school is about to start. Whatever the case may be, being able to help with things like that is a great place to start. I agree with the sister that I spoke with. She said, Deborah, you have to be careful putting stuff out there like this because people will try to, you know, do a number of different things to make you look bad, even though you're trying to help them. And so she did suggest, and I appreciate the suggestion, that we give this project a trial run for maybe 3 months and just see how it goes. And I completely agree with her on that, just to see how things go, in which I really feel like technically that we should be righteous enough towards one another to where we wouldn't want to take advantage of each other, or we wouldn't want to hurt each other, to where this should be something that we can have in place continuously, nonstop. That's the way I feel, but we do have to consider those that have an evil heart against another person, you see, or against other people, to where they would want to take advantage. And so the platform is going to be on our 12 Tribes Network website, to where if you have something that you want to give, you can post it there. And the Daughters of Zion can look at what it is, and if they need it, or if their children need it, you could ship it to them, or if they're there in your area or your community, you can meet them somewhere or have them pick it up, or you can drop it off. To me, it should be that simple. That simple, because I'm looking at Gentiles or white people doing it every day. I'm looking at these people just responding to the needs of their people. And I really feel like we should be able to do the same thing. Now, one thing that I wanted to say as far as helping the Daughters of Zion, outside of just giving things away, there are things that some of you may be able to do. This is why I'm calling this a part of the business series, because I would like to give enough information to encourage some of you to start your own business, okay? And starting a business doesn't have to be some big, overwhelming experience. It could be something that may only pull in an extra $200 or $300 or $500 a month, but that is something more than what you have, right? And so one thing that I wanted to talk about personally that we want to do, we've done this in the past, and we've had some good and bad experiences with this. And so we've learned to take the bad experiences and just, deal with it, come what may. But we don't want to not do things because of all bad experiences, because some things do turn out to be good. My daughters and I, we've been working on this for quite some time. Originally, a few years ago, we were going to call this Awake Magazine, as in the awakening of our people. But we decided not to, because I believe Jehovah's Witnesses have a magazine called Awake. But ours is just simply called Virtue Vibe. Virtue Vibe. Virtue Vibe magazine. The first issue is going to be available in September. Okay, so we're going to, and we also have the online version for those of you who want to flip through the online version to see what we're doing. This is just, I think we're going to do it quarterly initially, only because it takes time to do these. It takes a lot of time. But this is where some of you can come in. There are articles that we post in the magazine, in which this was really a fun project for me and my daughters. Really fun. We even have the 12 dozen in there dealing with the Daughters of Zion. But this was a really fun project, even dealing with head coverings and different teas that we can drink, and spoken word and musical talents and articles about history. We want this to be so much more, and even advertisement for our Back to Egypt board game, in which we are going to be campaigning to get this to market as soon as we can. It takes time to get these things to market. But one thing that we had in mind on the 12 Tribes Network platform, from time to time we need things to be proofread, even when we write scripts for our documentaries. Now, many of you may have access to a computer, and you may be good at this sort of thing. I've had people do this for us before, where we would pay a certain fee to the person who would do proofreading. And this is just one of the simple ways that we want to be able to help some of the Daughters of Zion. Of course, we can't do this alone. We're not paying a whole lot of money, but we're just doing what we can. If someone can proofread something for us, we will post the amount that we're going to pay for it. Various people can respond to it and say they can do it. We'll make our choice on who can do the project, who can do the editing, and they will be paid for the work that they do. Now, many of you can do the same thing. Many of you have things that you're working on that may be computer generated, to where someone may be able to help you with it. You can pay them whatever you can afford and whatever they will accept or agree upon, and it can be transferred back and forth through the internet. there are a number of different things that we can do to help one another. For instance, sometimes with our workbooks that we create for education, they need to be proofread as well. And so we would post that we need a proofreader and how much it's going to pay. So if you don't agree with the pay, you can just go right past that particular post and say, well, you know, that one isn't for me. Or if you agree with it, you can respond to it and say, okay, sure, I would love to do this for X amount of dollars. And so you respond, and we would make the choice. Or if someone else makes a request, any one of you can look at this request made by Sister ABC over here, and you can say, Sister ABC, I would love to take on this project for you. And all the details can be worked out with Sister ABC. Well, this brother over here, he might need a sister or a brother to help with a project that he's working on. And he can post where he'll pay X amount of dollars for help, and someone from our website or from the 12 the Daughters of Zion could respond and be paid for that task. To me, it's just that simple. We can make it as simple as we want to be, or we can complicate things by just not being right. Okay, let's be right towards one another, because again, this is just something that has been placed on my heart and my daughters to help our people, because we know that there are going to be needs that are going to come up, but we want to encourage you to not just post that you have a need, but also try to do what you can do to help yourself. I want to show these two ads here. One is for Ahaya Academy. This is a school that's opening up in Georgia. Okay, we are going to be interviewing that team shortly. But these are the things that we want to promote in our magazine. Now, this brother right here, we've already had an interview with him, in which we will be doing that again. That is the Minister of Wellness. Now, this is something that our people definitely need. All people need is a way to healthy eating. He has a before and after where he lost an extreme amount of weight and has been able to keep it off successfully. You see that? Because of changing his eating habits. He calls himself the Minister of Wellness. Okay, this is Brother Nathaniel Jordan. Some of you may have seen him on our ministry channel. Okay, another ad that I'm going to point out to you, in which some of you may know this awesome team, but they bring great music. Trying to get to that now. Give me one moment here, family. Okay, Open Writers. Okay, awesome music. Some of the music of Open Writers, or should I say Sister Hadassah, has been featured or has been shown in the Whited Out Part 5 series. Awesome music. Okay, very talented there. So what we want to do, we have the hard copy and we have the online version of the magazine. What we want to do is we want to highlight the gifts and talents and writings and music and all of that of our people. We want to cover health. We definitely want to be on top of health, because a lot of our people are leaving here because they are dying from sickness and disease. And so we are definitely going to stay on top of that for our own benefits, for our families, for your families, because these are the things we need to deal with. So this is a cultural magazine, okay? Things that are going to be in this magazine are going to be of benefit to our people. We're going to talk about certain aspects of history too. And one really great thing we want to do with this magazine, in which our daughters have to be writers in these magazines so that we can enhance their writing skills as well. This is a part of their homeschooling right here. They have to put together a great portion of this. They also have to write some of the articles. You see, Rebecca, our daughter Rebecca, is an awesome designer. She loves designing these pages. As a matter of fact, one of the pages that she designed that look really awesome. Now, her and Sophia both, they are awesome. Rebecca designed this music page because they all like to play the piano. They like to play the guitar. and they're trying to learn other instruments as well. And so she really put a lot of time into designing that particular page there. And even the one dealing with the head covering, Virtue Vibe head covering. And so she did that spread as well. And so what we had in mind is we would like for you all to submit articles as well that could be included in the magazine. We have a submission tab to where if you have young people who you want to enhance their writing skills, this will be a great way to do that. Those of you, like we said, who may want to participate in editing, certain tasks we are going to post on the 12 Tribes Network, so that anyone who wants to edit will have the amount that will be paid for that editing. And so certain aspects of the magazine will fall under that category as well. And so this is a fun project that we look forward to doing, because we definitely see how we can be of benefit to our people, especially those of you who may have products. We know a lot of you who make clothes, and they are just awesome. We would love to see your items in the magazine here. Some of you who offer services, like a good example is when we put together our documentaries, for the most part, a lot of us in the house, we know how to edit video, and we know how to do a number of different things with that. But some of you may have video editing skills that may supersede or far go past ours. And it would be awesome to be able to post that even as something. If some of you, others of you who may need video editing, you can post there what you're willing to pay someone to do some editing for you. Of course, you would want to get examples of their work. But just imagine what I'm saying here. If you have something that you are already paying others to do, you can post it on the 12 Tribes Network, and maybe one of the Daughters of Zion could do it. One of the things that we use a lot in our documentaries, we use voiceover talent. Like someone said that the voice in the Eve trailer, we did the Eve Effect. That is a documentary that we are working on. Now, a really quick testimony on that. We hired voice talent to do that. We were hiring him to do the voice of Morgan Freeman. That is what he advertises as the voice of Morgan Freeman. And so he did it. He did an excellent job. And we paid him through the website that we found his service on. And it was awesome. Awesome talent. So many of you might be able to do voiceover talents. You might have a voice where you speak very well, or you may sound like someone. Someone actually said that he sounds more like James Earl Jones. So I suggested to the brother, I said, you might want to put a James Earl Jones gig there as well, because one of our viewers said that you sound like James Earl Jones. Another thing that I want to mention too, during the process of doing the reading, this particular voiceover talent, the brother said he would be interested in seeing the finished product of this, because the storyline was very, very interesting to him. Now, that was a script that I wrote, okay? And so as he read it, he said it sounded very interesting to him. He read the script in that voice of Morgan Freeman. But when we sent him the finished trailer, and he heard his voice with the video and all of that brought together, it was amazing. But this brother said, he said, I just realized I've watched a ton of your videos because I'm seeking truth. He said, I've watched a ton of your videos. And so it's interesting to get that type of feedback from someone who was on a platform we had no idea. We had no idea. So this work, the work that Yah has given us is reaching far and wide. We are reaching Gentiles. We are reaching our own people all around the world, in Africa, in South America, in Canada, in England, in China, the Netherlands, all over the place. We have people reaching out to this ministry. So we definitely want to continue to put out good information, good documentaries, and do things that we can do to encourage all of us to work together in helping our brothers and sisters who may need a little help along the way. Now, we're not trying to be a welfare system because we can't afford that. You see, although technically our people should be able to meet the needs of our people, but it's not enough of us on the same page. There are black billionaires who may give towards education or do something here and there, but as a collective system of welfare, it's just not happening. It is what it is. And so we all have to do what we have to do to help ourselves as well. Because one thing that the sister that I spoke with, she made mention of this. She wanted to make sure that, you know, there's a way to make sure that no one is abusing this help that we are trying to offer to our people, because that can happen. As far as people with exuberant requests asking for $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000, it's like that's not something we can afford to do. This is why we're saying, now there may be someone who could. I want to say this too. My husband and I and our children, we have a very small ministry. Although we may be reaching people around the world, we have a very small ministry, and sometimes people assume that just because you're in ministry that you're supposed to be able to do all of these exuberant things. We've had people say to us, why don't we do things more like Fred Price and his ministry? And there was a couple of other ministries in California. And I'm saying, do we look like we have it going on like Fred Price? Fred Price has a congregation with thousands of people. No doubt he's collecting tithes and offering, you see. And people have financial obligations that they give to them on a weekly basis. And so when a person made that comparison, I'm like, we can't do things like Fred Price. We don't have any Fred Price money. And people should not make assumptions. I mean, we've had a number of attacks over the years from people. Someone saw a video where we were talking about our ducks, and we showed the ducks. And they said, this person said that we were sellouts. Black people don't have ducks. You're definitely sold out to the white man who has ducks in the hood. And I'm like, woman, because it was a woman who said this. I said, woman, those ducks only cost us $6 each. And so we're definitely trying to drown out the noise of people who come at us like that, because our heart is there. We want to be able to do what we can. Like I said, one thing that we want to do is we want to be able to send out either gas cards or gift cards so that you can spend it locally. Any produce that we have for people in the area. If someone asks us for a chicken or whatever, or some eggs, it doesn't matter. We want to be able to do what we can do. School supplies. Some of you may remember earlier this year we did the Seed Vault giveaway. We want to do things like that. We want to give away some of our school supplies. I mean, just a number of different things that any one of us can do. If you have some extra shoes, I mean, we've even had people give us clothes for our children because we have a lot of children. And yes, we do buy used clothes. And we do buy bargain clothes because we can't afford to buy name brand clothes, and neither do we desire to buy name brand clothes. So those of you, we've had people send us boxes of clothes or bring boxes of clothes to various events. Thank you. When you have a lot of children, that is very helpful. It is very helpful when someone gives clothes. And so that's one of the things that we talked about. Family, we are not rich. It would be awesome if we were, because we could do so much more. And so I don't like it when people assume that we're able to do more than we can, because they look at what we have and they want to make those assumptions that we're sellouts and that because we have ducks that we're just rolling in money. That's not fair to us, you see, because especially me, I'm just going to be honest with you. My husband is a lot more cautious than I am, and I understand. I get it now. I completely get it. But he was okay with me doing this. Of course, with all the caution and all the warnings that he can give, just like the sister that I spoke with, she's a military sister. She gave me some nice, clean, very valuable advice. Others that I've spoken with think this is an awesome idea as far as the 12 dozens, helping the daughters of Zion. But we all are saying proceed with caution. It's sad when you have to proceed with caution with helping people. But I've learned my lesson over the years, but I still don't want those experiences to stop me from doing something that is on my heart to do. As a matter of fact, a sister from the military, in which I don't have to share her name, she had the same desire on her heart, but she too have experienced someone trying to take advantage of her. And without sharing her name, I'll just share quickly her experience. There was a young woman who needed something for a child. She was going to give it to her, and this young woman sent her an image. Well, can you get this one instead? Now, the one that the sister was going to get her, and I'm only just telling a part of the story, it cost $40, but it was perfectly fine for what she needed. And so this young lady sent her a link saying, can you get this one instead? This one cost hundreds of dollars, you see. And so she felt like, here I am. You said you had a need. I'm trying to help you with that, but you have a request for something that costs a whole lot more. That's not fair to people, you see. So I'm going to take that advice. We want to give this a try for a few months and see how it works. Why am I doing it? Because I love my people. I love the daughters of Zion. I love my brothers. I love our children. I love our people. I love our families. And I feel like if the Gentiles can just use a platform such as Facebook to post something and say, look, I need some clothes for my kids. Can anybody help me? I mean, I saw a post where someone said their car broke down on such and such highway. Can anybody pick me up? I saw that post, and the number of people that I saw respond, people that they didn't know, strangers were like, well, I'm over here on such and such. I could be in that area in about 20 minutes. All of these responses to needs. Can you imagine if we can just get it together like that? We were talking to a Gentile a few weeks ago, and when he talked about how he and his neighbors just share among each other, and how various people that they know, one need was $65,000. Okay, obviously it was a person who could pay it back, but they wouldn't have it for a few weeks, but they needed it now. And without even thinking or blinking, they were like, "Oh, sure, I can give you the $65,000. No problem. I'll get it back from you when you get it." And the person gave them the $65,000. They were able to do whatever it was they were trying to do. And then in a few weeks, he got his money back. You see, the way that would work with some of our people, and we can't even use a number that high. Someone will tell you, look, I need $100. I'll give it back to you in 2 weeks. You give them the $100, then they vanish. You call, you knock on the door. Hey, brother, sister, I need that $100. Well, what you bugging me about it for? I give it to you when I get it. Can't you wait? But you told me you were going to give it to me in 2 weeks. Well, dang. Those are the kind of experiences that we have with our people. Not all, but a lot of the times. There are some people who will be thankful and grateful, but it's a shame when you have more people doing that than you have people who are going to do right by you. Shameful, family. We need to do a lot better, because get this, you're going to need somebody before it's all over. You're going to need somebody. And one of the reasons why I thought of doing this is because it's getting rough out here, family. It really is. And things are only going to get worse. We have all these natural disasters, droughts everywhere, the food chain being compromised for a number of different reasons. The prophecies alone in Scripture tell us that things are going to get worse. So that alone should make us do better and handle our business. That alone. Those things being said, family, if you have to look at this video twice just to get an understanding of what we're trying to do, this first segment was more about 12 dozen, helping the needs of the daughters of Zion, whether it be giving of your overflow if you have some extra clothes, shoes, school supplies, produce, if you want to give out some gas cards or some gift cards or something like that. It's a place to start. It is a place to start, family, because again, the needs are there and someone has to meet them. And as we see, the government is cutting out so much. This is also to encourage you as the daughters of Zion and the Brothers of Zion to help yourself. A lot of our people do have a lazy mentality to where they want to just sit back and have someone hand it all to them. And if you are unable to help them, they get angry at you. You see, we want to be able to help ourselves, family. Help ourselves. So I think I've said enough. This won't be the last segment. As time goes on, we will talk about more because, again, you know, over the years we've tried a number of different things with a number of different people, and sometimes it just don't work out. We talked about our experiences in real estate and other things that we ventured into. And sometimes you simply just can't work with people in terms of trying to start businesses or have joint efforts. But when it comes to helping and giving to others, that should be something that we should be able to do just fine. Like I said, with the magazine and with some of our documentary scripts and even some of our workbooks that we create, we would like to be able to, say, put a post on our website, 12 Tribes Network. We would like to be able to put a post there saying, look, we have this job for editing. Does anyone want to do it? It pays this amount. We need it by this time. Something very simple. You see, I had an experience, I would say about 5 or 6 years ago, where a sister said, Sister Deborah, I need something. I need some money. I'm struggling right now. And at this time, we were struggling as well, you see, but we had some things that we were working on. And I said, well, you know what, I could use some help with this, because if I can get it done faster, maybe I could, at the time, we create a lot of worksheets and things that we put on certain websites to sell. There are websites that allow you to sell your worksheets or your workbooks and things of that nature. Now, you may not make a whole lot of money, but like I said, you might, if you can make an extra $100 or $200 a month doing something, why not do it? But anyway, I told the sister, I said, well, I don't really have the extra money to give, but I can pay you this money right here to just proofread something for me. Just proofread. This was my way of saying, okay, I want to help you, but this can be a mutual thing. If you can proofread this for me, I'll pay you this amount of money. And so a couple of days later, the sister emails me. She said, you know what, Sister Deborah? She said, I just can't get motivated. I just can't get motivated to do it, so I'm going to have to pass. I can't do it. And I said, okay. So basically, she wanted me to just go in my pocket and just give her something, and she didn't want to do anything. Nothing at all. She didn't even want to try to help herself. And so that was a little bit discouraging to me, to see that some of our people have gotten to that point where all they want you to do is just take care of them, give it all to them, and they get mad at you and say all kinds of things about you if you don't just do what they want you to do, and they don't want to do nothing for it. That's the one thing that I see that the welfare system has done. It has made some, not all, it has made some people very lazy and dependent. And they think that that's the way to be. And they look at others and say, well, you have this, that, or the other. Can't you just give it to me? You know, you have people who literally want to move in on you and don't want to help do anything, don't want to give anything. And the minute you say something to them about it, can you help with the dishes? Can you help with this? Can you help with that? And you say something to them about it, then all of a sudden they're angry at you, upset, got an attitude, acting funky attitude. And you say to yourself, you know what? A lot of our people have been burned like this, have gone through this kind of stuff with our people. And so for some of you, you're going to hear about the 12 dozen helping the Daughters of Zion in their needs. It's going to go in one ear and out the other because you've been through too much. And I understand that, okay? But at the same time, let's understand that not everyone is like that. Not everyone is out to take advantage. Some people have real needs, okay? I'm going to go ahead and close out this video. I've talked longer than what I intended to, and I hope this goes well. We're going to try it out for 3 months, family, and see what happens, because the needs are there. They are definitely there. I love my brothers and my sisters, and I would love to see us unify, but unfortunately, you cannot have unity when you're so divided. We're so divided on every hand. And I know a lot of you get tired of hearing about how divided we are. Well, the fact that we are this divided is why stuff like this can't work. Because even when helping, you have to worry about getting burned. But I'm still going to give it that try. I'm going to give it a try, see what happens. We're going to try it for 3 months, as my sister suggested. My initial thing was, I was going to say we're going to try it for 6 months. She said, I don't know, Sister Deborah, you might want to try it for 3 months first to see what happens. And I said, you know what, I'm going to take your advice, because everything you've said so far, her being from the military, her life was completely structured. Everything in place the way it was supposed to be. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to listen to this daughter of Zion, who is very wise in what she's saying. She shared her experiences. Others at the event shared their experience. We shared our experiences. So based on that, I'm going to stick with what she said. 3 months it is. 12 dozen, which stands for the Daughters of Zion Essential Needs. We're going to give it a try because we love each other. That's what we should do. We should love each other and embrace each other and help each other as much as we can. Anyone who have any ideas at all, like I said, we're going to have a submission link on the website to where you can submit content or ideas. As a matter of fact, for feedback, maybe we'll put the feedback section for submitting ideas, but the submit portion, will be for those who might want to submit an article for the magazine to be considered in one of our publications. Initially, this is going to be only quarterly until we can get more time and more people a part of our team, because it takes an extreme amount of time to put these together right. You see, we had a number of times to where it was kicked out because of different things, different elements, and it's still not perfect, family. It's still not perfect. You can view this online at our website, virtuevibe.com. You can also access it through 12 Tribes Network. All of these sites are all linked together. Initially, we called this Modest Flow. You can see it there at the top. Modest Flow, initially, years ago, we were going to just deal with maxi pads and things of that nature. But we said, you know what, we want to do so much more than that. We want this to be something that our brothers can participate in as well. And so it says Modest Flow. This is a Modest Flow magazine. Virtue Vibe, you see. We have changed Modest Flow to Virtue Vibe because we want to deal with more than just a woman's health or a cycle or her period. We want to deal with our culture in general. Things dealing with how we dress, how we eat, how we should eat, spoken word, talents, businesses, all kinds of things, you see. Even as far as the cover goes. Right now, on the first issue, of course, 2 of our daughters are there. But we would even like to have contests for submissions to have someone featured on the cover. Eventually, we would like to make this a monthly magazine, but right now we cannot afford to do that, and we don't have the time to. But that can become possible the more people who decide that they want to see something like this happen and flourish for our people. Because again, this is a cultural magazine that is going to be talking about things that affect our people of the 12 tribes of Israel. We want to promote businesses. There are so many of you who have awesome talents. You have awesome businesses. Like I said, some of them are already featured in here. The Minister of Wellness and Ahaya Academy that is down in Georgia. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out, family. I have other things I need to do today. I just wanted to take the time to put this together. I want you to know that I love you, and we will see you on Shabbat tomorrow.